This video is sponsored by Ye Old Prop Shop. Do you like fun Disneyland, Walt Disney World, or even the Legend of Zelda memorabilia? Then head over to the link in the description below and use code OFFHAND10OFF and get 10% off your order. And now, the Mummy and the Man.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
You know, fun fact, a lot of people think the Hatbox Ghost is my favorite character in the Haunted Mansion, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. He's actually my second favorite. My absolute favorite ghost in the Haunted Mansion is the mummy in the graveyard. Now, this ancient Egyptian mummy doesn't have much of a backstory in the mansion, but he does get his own issue in the Haunted Mansion comic book series. No, not the Marvel one. This one was released in 2006. But before we talk about the mummy's origins in the story of the Haunted Mansion, we should talk about his origins in the attraction. Now, when Mark Davis was designing the jokes and the gags in the Haunted Mansion, a lot of them hold up today really well, actually. The ghost party in the ballroom with the man passed out drunk underneath the table, the spirits on the seesaw, and the spooky tea party happening in the graveyard. While these aren't exactly laugh out loud funny, you know what you're looking at, and they're pretty fun. But no one's perfect. The joke or gag with the mummy in the coffin and the man listening to him may be Mark Davis's greatest disappointment. Most people who ride the Haunted Mansion haven't gotten this joke in over 40 years. So the basic gist of this joke isn't super hard to catch on to. A really skinny and wimpy looking mummy, kinda like me, sipping a cup of tea and being really hard to understand because all the bandages are in the way. All the while, an old man standing next to him tries to make out what he's saying. I mean, the physical comedy aspect of it is pretty cool, but what is a mummy, and not only the mummy but also his sarcophagus, doing in a cemetery behind a Victorian house? And what is the relationship between the mummy and the old man? You all remember when I tried to explain the Sugar Act, right? Well, time for another history lesson. Let's talk about the Victorian mummy craze. You see, back in the 19th century, mummies were all the craze in England. You'd be able to purchase an actual, real-life Egyptian mummy for pretty cheap, which is kinda messed up, but stay with me. This excerpt from the Pulp and Dagger magazine kind of explains it. Under the guise of scientific curiosity, throughout England it became fashionable to throw swank parties where a mummy, fresh from the tomb, so to speak, would be unrolled from its bandages. Some professional unrollers made a good living renting out their services, going from party to party with their grisly bundles. Man, the Spiritualist movement was really weird. For those of you who don't know, Spiritualism is a religious movement based on the belief that the spirits of the dead exist and have both the ability and the inclination to communicate with the living. Man, this video is so boring. I signed up to learn more about the Haunted Mansion, not get a history lesson. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why this is the worst joke in the Haunted Mansion. Anyways, when it comes down to channeling your dear Aunt Martha, or a centuries-dead ancient Egyptian prince, which one would you rather talk to? The old man next to the mummy seems to be having his own mummy party, just like back in Victorian England. Except after doing all this work to finally conjure up the spirit of the mummy, the man is too old to hear the mummy, and the Egyptian himself can't speak because the bandages are muffling his voice. And that's it. That's the joke. Now, who here understands that gag? Be serious, too. Comment down below and let me know if you understood what was going on in that scene, so I know those of you who are lying. But like I said, that does not stop the mummy from being my personal favorite ghost in the Haunted Mansion. I just think he's really funny. Now let me know, what is your favorite joke or gag from the Haunted Mansion? Let me know down in the comments, and I will see you all a little later.